Atlanta Falcons might be cursed. If you are a fan of any of these teams, there's a distinct possibility that you might experience more total solar eclipses in your life than that team has won championships. There have been more total solar eclipses in my lifetime, according to Wikipedia. In fairness, I could get that double checked, but I'm lazy. But according to Wikipedia, there have been more total solar eclipses in my life than Atlanta Falcons Super Bowls, which is disappointing, right? Because it could have been at least a 3-to-1 ratio. It's kind of a 3-to-0 ratio. But on the plus side, the Falcons are actually good. We will talk about them a little bit later in the show. They played their second preseason game, lost the game, but the ones looked good. The starters looked good. Matt Ryan looks good. That whole offense looks good. And that is without Julio Jones. They played without him. That is without Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman had concussion symptoms, and so they just held him out. It's the preseason. Don't ruin a guy's brain over the preseason. Julio Jones, I believe he was in a walking boot. It's the preseason. Don't ruin a guy's ankle over the preseason, which makes total sense, right? They just absolutely be safe about it. Save the guys for the football games that matter, if you can, please. So more things did happen over the weekend. Also, for instance, in many of the preseason games, we're starting to see more and more demonstrations. I don't want to call them protests. I don't want to call them protests because they're not all protests. And until you ask each individual guy what it is that he is standing for, sitting for, kneeling for, raising his fist for, putting his arm across his teammate for, until you talk to that guy and ask him what it is that he is standing for, I would rather call what it is that players are doing a demonstration. And it's obvious that they are unsatisfied in some way and believe that the attention of the demonstration will help. And I don't think that there is necessarily a problem here, but people are making a giant problem out of this stuff, especially when it comes to players who are not explaining themselves, right? Which this happened last week. Players who are not explaining themselves. Because it's crazy. We have an advanced timeline. We have a timeline where we have actually accepted players standing through protests, right? Like, I feel like at this point, Colin Kaepernick is being punished as the guy who did not ask for permission to do it. Because other players are doing it, and we're not killing them the way that we killed Kaepernick. And by the way, Kaepernick had sat down during the national anthem a couple of times before anybody noticed he was sitting down. Like, nobody knew why. I don't think that he necessarily wanted to put it all out in the streets. And once it got out there, then it was like, okay, I have to be the guy that explains what's happening. But, you know, a guy doesn't actually owe you an explanation on any of that stuff, right? And Marshawn Lynch, who is, can I say he's a universal fan favorite? Marshawn Lynch sat during the national anthem, and then reporters came and asked him questions about it, and Marshawn Lynch was, to use a word, obtuse. He was obtuse. Marshawn Lynch had zero interest in pandering to anybody's questions. He has zero interest in explaining himself. Is what Marshawn Lynch doing a protest? Is what Marshawn Lynch is doing a demonstration? Or is it just Marshawn Lynch being Marshawn Lynch? Because nobody knows. Marshawn Lynch is about as cryptic a human being as you get. So there's a reporter that tried to ask Marshawn Lynch the question of, well, he sat during the national anthem. Well, we have to address the elephant in the room. And Marshawn Lynch said, look, the elephant in the room just ran away. There's a mouse here. There's a mouse in the room, and it scared the elephant away. He said some other words there, some expletives that we're going to leave off the air. But essentially, Marshawn Lynch is not interested in answering your questions. And he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. You have no idea what Marshawn Lynch is doing. And there's some people, their reactions to things and their decisions to do things are so odd, you almost have to question if what they're doing is performance art. Like, is it so crazy that it's genius, or is it just crazy? It's hard to tell. That's the thing with Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch, who famously once said, I'm just here to answer questions so I don't get fired at a mandatory press conference. And he sat there and answered 30 questions in this fashion and in no way changed character, cracked a smile. Dude was dead serious. Like, Marshawn Lynch is an interesting guy to decide to do this, because Marshawn Lynch is the one guy who might just be sitting down because he felt like he was tired. And I think that there is a certain level of why, right? A certain level of entitlement to the why that people think that they have with this. That if you see a guy and he is doing something during the national anthem other than standing up with his hand across his chest, most people want to know why. But we only selectively seem to care about the why. Right? Like, we only selectively care about the why. We don't bother everybody who is doing this, right? The Marshawn Lynch has said he's been sitting during the national anthem for the greater part of a decade and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. And it's wild because that makes perfect sense. It's possible that nobody noticed. In fact, we didn't start calling any of that stuff protesting until Colin Kaepernick, because Colin Kaepernick answered the questions. And it almost came back to bite him in the butt, because by answering the questions, he was able to give voice to what he was doing and give voice to what a lot of other players are doing. But at the same time, by answering the questions, he brought all the fire on himself. Now you have a problem with the method of it. Right? And it's almost one of those things where it's like, would it be better? Would it be better if guys just sat and didn't offer you any explanations? I'm just protesting. So, does the explanation make it better or worse? If they started pulling down Confederate statues and did not offer an explanation, right? They didn't say it was for anything. They just started to do it. Would anybody notice? Because a lot of these statues are not, big time statues that you go to and they're tourist attractions. They're just in parks. They're just in certain places. Like, if the statue was missing one day, because I've seen some statues. Like, if some of those statues were missing, would anybody even notice? Especially before we started deciding on purpose we would be taking down Confederate statues. Would anybody even notice? Right? The Boston Red Sox have a similar issue where the current owner of the Red Sox, Sean Hannity, wants a road by the stadium changed. The name of it is changed. He wants it changed, rather, right? Like, he wants it changed. It's Yahi Way, because that was the name of the guy who originally owned the Red Sox, and he was a racist. And the Red Sox were the last team to integrate, and the Red Sox until very recently did not sign a black free agent. And it's crazy. Like, the history of the Red Sox there's a deep level of racism there, right? And so the current owner, wants the name changed. And people have a problem with it because obviously the guy and his family who first owned the team forever, and you've got Ted Williams, who's a great baseball player who played under that era, and all of this stuff, right? Like, there's a level of history there that people would like to hang on to. But the owner, John Henry, he wants the name changed to David Ortiz Way or Big Papi Way or one of the players that have brought a title to Boston via the Red Sox. He wants one of those players to be the name on the road, to show this progression of Boston sports and race relations in Boston sports. And people are bucking that trend. But think about this for an instance. If he just said, we want to change it to David Ortiz Way, and they just changed it to David Ortiz Way, would anybody have a problem? Like, if he changed it and didn't offer an explanation of race, would anybody care? I think that there's a lot of reactiveness to all of this stuff that people have. Like, we're not thinking about it, we're just reacting. Oh no, a guy knelt during the anthem. And rather than think about the why, rather than think about any of the nuance in the middle, you just react, right? Oh, they want to change the name of this road. I'm just going to react to it, right? Like, I'm not going to think about why. Because if you wouldn't have reacted if no one offered you any explanation, then it is a little bit telling that you are reacting when you have one, and the one that you get is, well, that guy was a racist. We want to change the name of his road because that guy's a racist. Now, there is a foundation, by the way, called the Yahi Foundation, and it is named after the same guy, but they do a lot of fundraising for cancer research and everything, and they're like, oh no, racism, us. Don't lump us in with racism. We're not. We just want to help cure cancer. But I buck against the idea of painting anybody with very, very broad strokes on this, right? That every person that wants a Confederate statue gone, or kneels or sits or raises their fist in the national anthem, or wants the name of a road change, that every person there is a social justice warrior and they just want to hide America and cover America up. But also, there is a certain level of code that we see with these things where we just see racist, right? And anybody who supports these things, they must be racist. And I think that you've got to find the middle ground there. You've got to find the nuance in all of that. There is a certain level of you see a Confederate flag, especially if you have a northern mindset, or if you haven't lived in the South, and you see a Confederate flag and someone is maybe flying it from their house or their car or their truck or whatever, and you just see racist. And I don't know. I have a few friends who have Confederate flags, and they don't hate me. That flag means something different to that person. And while you could say, well, the overall meaning of the flag is this, and so they shouldn't fly it at NASCAR races and so forth, there is also a certain level of that doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. And we don't talk about this. We don't ever get together and talk about, what does this mean to you? What does this actually mean in your part of the country, in your culture? Because we all know different parts of this country, even though we are all American, are very different. Don't we make fun of each other's accents? We do it all the time, right? People who live anywhere but the South make fun of accents in the South. But it's very easy to make fun of an accent from Boston. It's very easy to make fun of an accent from the North, from the Midwest, from California, from wherever. There's like different ways. Like, we all talk differently. We all have different words for different stuff. When I first moved to the South, I went to the grocery store, and the nice lady up front was trying to help me get my shopping cart, but she told me she was going to get me a buggy. And you need to understand that there's a certain level of confused that I was. And we're talking about something that doesn't have any emotional attachment to it whatsoever, right? Like, no one ever went to a store and got attached to a buggy, okay, emotionally. I hope not. Otherwise, you need to see a doctor. But these things have different names to us. So why would we assume that all of this stuff means the same thing to everybody? Like, there's an idea that, like, oh, they're pulling down the Confederate statues, which to me, I honestly was talking about this Friday. I don't have a big opinion on it either way, to be honest with you. But there is to me, there's a level of thinking that has to go into this beyond, oh, Southerner, racist. Like, you can't put those two things together automatically. It's simply not fair. And so when you see somebody sitting during the national anthem and you go, oh, un-American, again, it's something that we do to each other both ways. And you have to stop painting each other with these broad brushstrokes. it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We never get anywhere with this stuff. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that we're not getting anywhere? Is it out of the realm of possibility? Am I the only person who sees this? That every time we clash over this stuff, we are not getting anywhere. I have lived in the South long enough, and I've had enough friends down here long enough to know that every person that's got a Confederate flag is not out to get me. But when you come from the North, that's a feeling that you get. And I've been listening to a lot of people, because I listen to the radio all the time. Listen, that's all I do in my spare time. I'm a huge fan of radio. I grew up listening to it. I don't know how to stop. This is just where I am. And listening to a lot of Northern pundits talk about it, right, on their podcasts and whatever. And what I'm understanding is they don't have a very good grasp on Southern history. It's not important to them the same way if you are a Chattanoogan who's been raised here all your life. If you're from Hickson or Red Bank and you've lived here all your life, like, you've got a different view of Southern history than what other people have. They didn't learn it the same way if they come from New York or Maryland. Learn it a little bit differently. Right? And you make one-word associations. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. And I understand why people make one-word associations. That's actually how the human brain works. That's what keeps you safe. You need to make one-word associations when you live life just generally. If you're walking out in the woods and you see a snake, you ought to think dangerous. You walk out in the woods and you see a spider and the spider's got all these colors on it. You ought to think dangerous, right? Why? Because typically snakes and brightly colored spiders are dangerous. Usually. Now, you could be wrong. It might not actually be dangerous. But your brain makes these associations so that you don't die, which is hugely important. The problem is your brain doesn't know how to turn it off. Your brain doesn't have an off switch for trying to keep you alive in that very specific way of one-word associations, right? Your brain is good at figuring out what food is good for you to eat, what food is bad for you to eat. Your brain is good at figuring out all of these things, and it doesn't really want to waste the time trying to discern between, well, this is sort of poisonous, or it might be poisonous if you eat it in this dose, but not in this. Your brain just looks at something that looks poisonous and goes, yeah, that's poisonous. Don't eat that. And the people that listen to their brains live, and the people who don't die. But your brain doesn't know how to turn that off. So what happens is we start using it on each other, right? Like if you, this is why I talk about inherent biases that you have inside of yourself, right? That if the news and the media tell you all the time that black people are scary, your brain is going to make that one-word association, right? If the media tells you, oh, Confederate statue, racist, that's the only association your brain can make. So we're basically just operating off of one-word associations and not discussing anything with each other, not trying to figure out anything about one another, and we're moving backwards, not forwards. And I don't care what your stance is. You need to understand, these things mean things differently to everybody. Before you jump into a hostile assault of what all this stuff means with people, why don't you ask somebody, what does that mean to you, right? If they tell you we should keep them, we should destroy the statues, what does that mean to you? Oh, I like the Kaepernick sits. I think he's an idiot for sitting. What does that mean to you? And you'll be surprised how much you understand the person after they explain themselves. Shocker. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Three, two, one.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Did you see it? Thousands flocked to Tennessee to see the total solar eclipse because we're in the path of totality. And we have some good news, too. No injuries reported from anyone staring at the sun. In darker news, Shamira Roberts, who's 31, was shot on East 3rd Street early this morning. Chattanooga police were called to the hospital to interview the victim. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. In Collegedale, a canine unit chased a man behind a Walmart, and then officers found him dead. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is handling the investigation to find out how this man died. In Bradley County, a toddler was discovered floating face down in a swimming pool, but we have good news. Bradley County deputies performed CPR on the young child. The child was rushed to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. A car was crumpled after a crash on Jones Gap Road, and Deborah Cox from Graysville was killed. Jones Gap Road is now back open. Another driver was minorly injured. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's fast forecast now. Temperature 88 for our post-solar eclipse season as the sun goes down. Temperatures holding steady in the 80s overnight. 70 degrees is our high for Tuesday. Not expecting any rain at all. Might be partly overcast. By the time we hit Wednesday, we are expecting thunderstorms with a high of 85, low of 73. Overall, great weather this week. That's your fast forecast now.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Chrissy.
And this is Summer
of Summer Cares. There are too many homeless veterans in Chattanooga. Please help us in our Shoebox for Veterans campaign. You can fill a shoebox with hand warmers, hand sanitizers, hand wipes, cough drops, razors, shaving cream, toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, deodorant, snacks, socks, gloves, and even a small blanket.
And make sure you drop your shoeboxes or your shoebox items off at Nooga Radio Studio on Hickson Pike across from Bojangles below Goss Insurance or Alpine Crest Elementary School.
Please join us at the Community Kitchen in Chattanooga on November 10th from 11 to 12:30 and help us distribute these care packages to the homeless veterans of Chattanooga. No veteran should ever go homeless.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
When you shop online for a weapon, you avoid the sales tax. But now you can buy local at Shooter Supply, and you'll do just as well, if not better. Here's how. 10% off of ammo and accessories, or 20% off of the handgun permit class, or you can get 20% off the ranged membership. You deduct the taxes online, and at Shooters, you do even better. And let Shooter's consignment program turn that rifle into cold, hard cash. Shooter Supply, Hickson. Shooters Supply, Hickson.
I have the best steak selection in town. The name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation, let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose, here on Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com. And it is time for the return as we inch even closer. And it does feel like inching, though at one of these points we're going to actually make it. Inch even closer to the beginning of the football season. High school football has begun. College football begins very soon. And then, 2 weeks after that, we've got the pros back. And then that's it. It's football season. We're full on into it. And with that comes a great many things, fantasy football and all those things. With me is my girlfriend, Jay, to give us the significant others questions for football, because many of you are in relationships where, fall comes around and then this football person moves into your house, and it's like having a third person in your life.
Like a fourth and a fifth and a seventh.
No, it's like a third person.
15th.
No, he's like a third person.
It's like a whole Snow White, Seven Dwarfs worth of
it's like
energy and attention.
It's like a third person. Maybe a fourth, but I wouldn't say much more than a fourth.
And sneezy and sleepy. And I can't talk to you right now because I'm watching football.
Oh, okay. That's a stretch. That one's a little rough. So you have the questions that significant others may or may not have as they try and delve into the world of sports with the person with whom they are related to by marriage or dating or what have you.
Or McDonald's lunches. Look, here's the thing, okay? I hope that your significant other does not have the questions that I have today, because I'm taking it back. I realize that I know nothing.
Well, here's the thing. This is the perfect time. This is a jumping on point.
Literally nothing. So we're just going to jump into this because I have a lot of nothing that I'd like to know.
I would like to tell you that I'm slightly disappointed that you know literally nothing.
It's special.
As you have been on this show many times.
I thought I knew things.
Okay.
And I did after the time that we spoke. And then I slept.
And then you slept. All right. Cool. Let's get to it. Let's jump in.
Okay, so we've got like the halfback and the fullback and the quarterback and the lineback and like some back and side back, and why are all there so many backs in football? Like, why so many backs?
Well, okay, I'm actually not sure about the linebacker, but the quarterback, the fullback, and the halfback are all people who are on the backside of the offensive line.
Does that mean? Try that one more
time. It literally just means they're behind the offensive line.
So
if you're a back,
you have offense and defense.
Correct.
Okay.
So the guy who gives the ball to the quarterback is the center.
The snapback.
Don't confuse yourself. See, you're going to say something like that, and then later in the season, you're going to talk to me about a snapback, and I'm not going to know what you're talking about, and I'm going to be so confused.
Right? Doesn't he like snap the ball like he's laying an egg?
He does. He's called the center.
The center. Okay.
Behind him is the quarterback.
Okay.
And
why is he called a quarterback? Like it's like measuring cups. Like you've ever like baked a cake and like you've got
touching
like
on it.
your half, and then like half cup, and then your full cup, and then like your quarter cup, and they all kind of just feed into each other.
Okay, so one of the most popular formations in football, not to get too deep into the weeds here, is the I formation, which is literally the quarterback, the halfback, and the fullback line up directly one after the other.
It's like one of those nesting dolls.
Yes. And so literally the fullback is all the way back. I think he's about 10 yards back. The halfback is half the way back. He's 5 yards back. And then the quarterback is standing directly underneath the center. So
interesting.
Yes. When you say it's like nesting dolls, it's pretty much the concept. Yes. Granted, in the modern NFL, the fullback no longer really has the role that position used to have, so you don't see as many of those guys. But they still exist, and that's where those names came from.
Okay. So it is as obvious as it is.
Yeah.
Because I like to take a jab at the simplicity of it and the dominating gender, but that's okay. So that being said,
I mean, it gets stupidly complicated from that point. But
no, I'm clearly well aware of the complications. Okay, so you have a lot of backs because they just are backs because you see their backs. Is that it?
Yeah, and I suppose another thing about the linebackers, they're defensive players, and they're the guys that are behind the defensive line.
Okay, so explain. Can you briefly touch on the lines? I understand one is offense and one is defense. So one is taking the ball and one is getting the ball, right?
One is trying to take the ball from the other. Just like
you've got Frodo taking the ring to Mordor, and then you've got Aragorn and his people defending it or trying to get it back from
that is
Gollum.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
That is the infinitely nerdier analogy.
Thank you
But
so
yes,
much.
I was going to use a basketball analogy because you played basketball.
But we're going
before.
to another sport. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, if your team has the ball and they're trying to defend the goal.
Okay.
It's the same concept. The only difference is in football, you line up before every play.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to fix the mic here. I have to see, I'm a linebacker or something because now all you can see is the back of my head while I'm talking to you, right? Is that the idea? Okay.
Something like that. But
I did it.
You actually I hear you in the headphones
Okay.
here. So you're good.
I'm good.
I would not let you speak
Can you
into
hear me
silence
now?
for no reason.
Wait,
Yes,
is that an endorsement of some kind?
probably, but
Okay. My bad. Sorry. So, okay. So you have these backing people because of literally which part of the ball handling they are in, either defense or offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're in defense, then you'll be a linebacker because you're on the back of the defensive line.
Right.
And if you're on offense, depending on where you are in the nesting doll, you will be on the offensive line, half, quarter,
and
full.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's that simple.
I'm so upset.
It's that simple. You were like, oh, I've got this super complicated. No.
Not fair. Okay.
Are you trying to stump me? Is this what does this become?
I wouldn't say stump you. I'm trying to find new knowledge.
All right. Sure.
Okay. So I have now found something that we know to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Baking and football go hand in hand.
Do they?
So what I'm hearing is I will be baking you cakes during football season. Okay. So
I'm okay with that.
What are some of the most popular backs, not including the quarterback?
I don't follow.
Historically speaking, these back people. I really should stop labeling people like this. This is a perpetual way of my brain working.
Well,
so you have I don't know, Tom Brady, he's a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And Peyton Manning, right?
Yes.
He's a quarterback.
Yes.
I'm doing great.
You're on fire.
So, really? Put it out, please. I don't want to burn. But if what are other backs? We've talked about the fullback and the halfback and all these others.
Okay, well the halfback is the one who would usually carry the ball if the quarterback handed it to him. So that position is also known as the running back position, right? The running back is you just give him the ball and he runs.
So the running back and the halfback, are the same person.
Yes.
Why?
And then the fullback usually doesn't ever carry the ball, though you can sometimes. But what he does is usually he blocks for the running back. So if the play is going to the right, then the fullback goes out there to be the lead guy. And if any defensive player comes, he's supposed to block at least the first guy to give the running back a chance to get upfield.
That's the halfback?
That's the fullback. The fullback doing the blocking.
Fullback's back. He's furthest away.
He's the furthest away. Yeah.
He's a full backing person.
Yes.
So his job is to block for the second backing person, which is the halfback.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the first backing person, quarterback, would be handing the ball to the halfback.
This is fantastic. Okay. So who are other popular running back, halfback, fullback people? Why is the quarterback the only? That's another question I have. But before we get there, who are other popular backs?
Okay, to answer that other question very briefly, the quarterback has the ball in his hands the most, so that's why we know them the most.
Okay, well, I have more questions about that.
But the running back, famous running backs.
Yeah. Can you be great?
Would you like current or?
I mean, like, you know,
for this coming
you have
NFL
like
season,
Magic and like Kobe of like basketball.
Okay,
like,
so like the famous. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you have like Peyton Manning, like he's like a famous quarterback. Are there any other back positions that are?
Yeah, Emmitt Smith played for the Cowboys. He's the NFL's all-time leading rusher. So I mean, everybody that watches football has to know Emmitt Smith. Who would you? Barry Sanders, who is Adventist.
Wasn't he
but
a baseball player?
No, he played for the Detroit Lions. But Bo Jackson was in the NFL and he played baseball.
Who's the Barry baseball? Bonds.
Barry Bonds was the baseball player. But we're confusing the things now.
Nope.
But yes.
That's what I said.
But Bo Jackson played baseball
Why
and
did
football.
you bring
so
up
cool.
baseball, Keon? Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. This is Jay Asks. My girlfriend is trying to tease out the questions that significant others have for the people that they are in love with who also love football so that they can also understand how to love football.
So when I'm watching like the back people play, like how do I like where's
Go on.
I was gonna say where's the enjoyment, but that's not what I want to say. It's great, it's all great. Like everybody likes watching the quarterback, and like you said, like he's the guy who has the ball in his hands most often. So, you know, it's easy to find the quarterback, but like how do you find the other backs when they're running, but they're not running backs? They might be halfbacks or fullbacks.
The easiest way to watch, I would say most sports, is follow the ball. And football, I think this is particularly true. The center gives the ball to the quarterback. So that's an exchange that happens literally every time.
Right.
From there, you either follow the quarterback if the quarterback decides he wants to run or if he throws it. But if he turns around, he's going to hand it usually to a running back. And that's when you would follow him. You don't have to really worry about the fullback. Like I said, we don't have as many of those in today's NFL as we used to.
Why is that?
Because
actually, really good point.
NFL offenses, through many rule changes, the passing game has become more prevalent, right? Defensive players, they get penalties a lot more easily now because they're allowed to do less via the rules. And so passing the football is more prevalent, which means if you have just 11 guys on the field and you used to run the ball more, if you want to pass the ball more, you would add one receiver. But then you have to subtract one player. And every team essentially has decided to subtract the fullback.
Please explain.
When they've added one wide receiver to their
okay. So how many people are like living football?
11 people per team.
Per team?
On the field at once.
On the field. How many people per team? Like for real?
Like 53.
Okay. So 11 people on the field.
Yes.
All right. So you've got your center who's in the center, and then you have the quarterback, and then you have a line behind them.
The center is part of the line.
Oh, the quarterback stands behind the line.
Stands behind the line.
That's what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. Anyway.
So there's 5 guys on the offensive line.
Really?
Yeah.
They have great burgers and fries.
Oh, stop it. Please stop. We are trying to educate folk. You're delineating into jokes.
I'm also hungry. Okay. So you've got 5 individuals whose backs are facing the quarterback.
Yes.
And he is going to get the ball when the center snaps it.
Yes.
Okay. It's called a snap, right? Like I'm
yes.
making up words. Okay. So then they call it their play or whatever. So that's 5. That's only 6 people in the field.
That's 6 people. Then you've got the running back is
5.
7.
Where's that person?
He's behind the quarterback usually.
Okay.
Then you have the tight end who he blocks as well, but he can also go out for passes.
Why is he not a back? Because he's not in line.
He lines up next to the offensive line. So he's in that same area of the field. So you've got the 5 guys on the line and then the tight end.
Okay.
And then the quarterback is behind them, and then the running back is behind them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Randomly.
8, and then receivers.
Oh, sorry. And they're on the wings.
Yeah.
Are they also called wings?
No, they're called receivers.
Who are wings?
I don't know.
There's no such thing as wings?
No.
What?
They're called wide receivers or wideouts.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when a call is played, when a play is called.
I understand what you mean.
I'm sorry. When a play is called, like, you know, they'll be like blue 42 or whatever, right? And then everybody will like move, and then he'll yell like hike, and then instead of moving, they freeze, and then the center snaps the ball, and the guy picks it up, and then people move. Explain to me that whole moving offsides. The other team can move. I'm confused.
You can.
Like, how does that work? Yeah. Like,
so offensive linemen cannot lean forward because when they do that, the defensive players are like, oh, that means we can go now. So that would be a false start on the offense. The offense also, you cannot cross the line where the ball is. You can move in the backfield as much as you'd like. You cannot.
That's if you're on defense only.
Offense or defense, but you cannot cross the line with the ball. Like you. I don't know if you've seen it, but offensive players, the quarterback will make a signal, and then his receiver will move from one side of the field and run behind the line because he's got to be on his side of the ball over to the other side of the field. Now, offense, I think you're restricted to having one guy move as far as running back and forth at a time, but they can move. So the quarterback can move guys a different place because what ends up happening, of course, is when you call a play, the defense also has plays, and they look at you and they go, oh, cool, we're going to stop this. Now, you're a quarterback, and you look up and you see the defense, and you know they're going to stop you. The play that they've chosen is perfect for stopping the play that you've called. So then, and this is where the quarterback is going to say stuff and guys are going to move. The quarterback is going to say something that is going to cause his team to shift in a way so that they're going to run something else, a different play, because it's the one that they've called is clearly not going to work.
So what's the timeline when you get to the down that you have to do that in?
There's a 30-second play clock.
So I have 30 seconds until I touch the ball or until I end my down.
You have 30 seconds to snap the ball.
Okay. And then after that, I can play as long as I need to. Presumably.
Yeah, as long as the play is going on, then you're fine. And then when you're down, you get up to the line. You got another 30 seconds. You better get it out.
Okay, so when the quarterback says, I should stop calling him dude. I apologize.
Just for the sake of the audience, really.
Dollar maker person for the sake of throwing a ball. Okay, so I'd love to throw a ball for like millions of dollars. Like, that'd be awesome.
If you could throw it more accurately than an Olympic archer, then go on ahead. Other than that,
I'm gonna work on it.
I've got nothing.
Okay, you'll see me.
I've got nothing else for you.
I was about to ask why they don't have women in the NFL. I know the answer to that question very obviously. Moving on. So that being said, I wanted to know when they call hike in the down. Is it hike? Is that like standard, or is that just?
Most people say that, yeah.
Like, okay, and
you can say what you can. Honestly, whatever word you decide on as a team.
Beach balls.
Yeah, in college football, the stadiums get really loud, and you can't hear anybody.
Okay.
So, like a lot of teams clap. The clap is sharp enough that the center will hear it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can say whatever.
Yeah.
So once they call the keyword, you can't move after that?
Once the ball is snapped, you can move the entire time. The only thing that you can't do is cross into the area with the ball or jump before. But
so I can run around the quarterback all day nonstop if I wanted to. If I'm on the line,
if you are
and the center is snapping straight back, I can run in that arc around them if I wanted to, regardless of what's happening.
I suppose
it's pointless, but I could.
And it would confuse even your own team, but yeah.
Well, then why not have that as like a decoy? Some guy just running wildly behind the quarterback.
I mean, the wildly thing doesn't decoy anybody because, like, if you're doing it wildly, the other team's like, you're whatever. If you get the ball, we're gonna catch you. You're behind the line. We don't even know if you have a plan. We're not worried about you. But if you plan it, like teams do plan it, like they'll have a guy in motion, and then when the quarterback asks for the ball to be snapped. Maybe this guy's running in front of the quarterback. And now, instead of the quarterback getting the ball, he's got the ball, which catches defenses off guard.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
But he ran in front of the space of the ball getting caught.
Yeah, but as long as he's the only guy that's moving there, because on offense, you only have one guy in motion at a time. But as long as he's the only guy, yeah. In fact, you don't have to. Nothing says you have to snap it to the quarterback.
Okay, so I am thoroughly confused. We do not have enough time
to unravel the knot. That it's
we're gonna have to do this again.
You know how when you set up your TV wires, you put the wires behind your TV, and then years later, when you decide to move, you just have a bird's nest of cords and wires, and you have no idea. You didn't do anything to cause it to be that tangled. That's where we are with this segment. I feel like I have done more tangling than untangling, and
It's like when you're trying to build a piece of DIY furniture, and they give you all the screws, and somehow you put all the screws in a pile instead of keeping them in their separate boxes.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
Separate everything, but continue.
Well, okay.
Let's see if we can get one more in here.
Maybe two.
Got 2.5 minutes.
Okay. Inside.
What happened in the blind side?
Yeah, like back people.
Well,
that's our theme.
Back people. Well, he's the Michael Oher, who is the main guy in the blind side.
Yes.
Not a back person. He's an offensive lineman.
I was close.
He plays on the far left side of the offensive line, left tackle, and
so he's not a linebacker.
Essentially, he grew up homeless.
Is he a linebacker?
No, he's a left tackle.
Okay, I tried.
Yeah.
He was on the other side of the line.
Yeah, he's one of the 5 guys on the line. I should more accurately say.
Oh, so he's not backing it. He's just on it.
He's on it. Yeah.
He's like on the line.
And your job is to protect the quarterback. Since we're going to the most basic levels of football with this, your job is to protect the quarterback if you're an offensive lineman. If I have not made that clear, the left tackle, most quarterbacks are right-handed, and so when they look downfield to throw, their back is facing the left side of the field usually. Mm-hmm. So the left tackle protects the blind side of the quarterback.
Like driving.
Yes.
So he's not a back person.
No.
Okay, moving on. Man, we don't even have time for this. Like, how important is it to draft good backs? Like, do teams look for good backs? Like, is that a thing, or is that just like looking for people who look like they look like Dwayne Johnson?
It's really important because now running backs are not as important as they used to be because, like I said before, the offenses have become more passing based. So you throw the ball more, so you don't run the ball as much.
So you're looking for more people who look like the unseen fumble specialist.
He's a receiver, but sure. I mean, he's very fast. I mean, it's just alarming. But yeah, no. What you're trying to do is find a guy.
What's his name?
Deshaun Jackson, who's in Tampa Bay now. But what you're trying to do is find a guy who meets the needs of your offense. Some guys will draft running backs that are big and strong, like the Jaguars just did, run over people, really hard to tackle. Sometimes you draft guys that are really fast, quick, and elusive, like the Panthers did. Christian McCaffrey, he's incredibly quick and hard to catch in that manner, and also he's good at catching passes as well. So that helps. And you're trying to find a guy that has athleticism and quick decision making and is able to see a gap that he can run through.
So are there any like really good looking, not physically, like anybody we should look out for? Any rookies that we should look out for? Any
Got you covered on that one. That's why I named the 2 guys that I named. They're both rookies. I think they're both going to have a fantastic season. It'd be Leonard Fournette with the Jaguars. He's going to be the only thing worth watching on the Jaguars. And Christian McCaffrey gives Cam Newton a running back that he can rely on finally. So we'll see how it is that goes. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Special thanks to Jay for doing Jay Asks today. And see you in a bit. Next.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You've been in a wreck.
756-6400.
You've been wrongfully fired.
756-6400.
A turkey is suing you out of the blue.
756-6400.
Confused about a business startup?
756-6400.
That's the number for you. 756-6400. Right here, right now, Chattanooga. Call now. Top flight legal help awaits. Get biz advice now. Representation to fight for your right. What are you waiting for? That's 756-6400. Don't sit on your rights. You've got remedies. Turn your tragedy into cash. You've got the solution from estate planning all the way to probate. Act now. Top attorneys in Chattanooga are waiting to help you get relief. Act now. No out of pocket. You don't pay a dime until we win. So win with us.
756-6400.
Call now. Top flight legal help awaits. What are you waiting for? That's 756-6400. Turn your tragedy into cash. Act now. No out of pocket. You don't pay a dime until we win. So win with us.
756-6400.
756-6400.
I'm Thomas DeMoss, and we've got the cash. We will buy your house today. Need to sell your house? We want to buy your house, and we have the cash to do it. Call me now, 423-834-7321. That's 423-834-7321. We've been buying houses in the Chattanooga market for 10 years. We are local, and we can help. There's no obligations, only solutions. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. I'm Thomas DeMoss, and we've got the cash.
Does your business have enough clients? Are you confused about how to stand out in today's saturated social media market? Do you feel lost trying to navigate the maze of marketing channels which are necessary in today's marketplace? Are you fed up with spending your time and money on employees who don't perform and marketing strategies that don't produce? Then you need Cindy's Choice. Cindy will solve your marketing problems with their innovative shared marketing management concept that will allow your business to have the benefits of a full-time employee that is actually out building relationships in the community on behalf of your brand. Cindy's low monthly rate includes advertising, employee management, public relations, and creative marketing strategies that produce. Cindy can bring this all to you at a rate lower than most advertising campaigns and for much less than the cost of hiring a marketing employee. Cindy's Choice is your trusted source, and Cindy will manage it all for you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I focus on the prospect so you can focus on the project. Call me at 423-661-4445. That's 423-661-4445.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDT Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
The solar eclipse from coast to coast.
The sun actually vanished.
It was really amazing.
Tonight, unveiling the U.S. strategy for Afghanistan.
We will hear the president unveil his path forward.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. It was dark diagonally all across the U.S. from the Pacific Northwest to South Carolina. The solar eclipse impressed CBS's Jamie Yukas, who took a look from Madras, Oregon at the moment of totality.
God, we're in darkness. Oh, take off the glasses.
Look at the halo.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at that halo.
Wow.
Let's start the journey with CBS's Steve Futterman in Salem, Oregon.
It was an event that brought people together, people from different nations. This man from the U.S.
I thought it was absolutely amazing.
This man originally from India.
Well, it's probably a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and so I wouldn't want to miss it.
And people of different ages. This 9-year-old.
It was really pretty.
This man came from England.
Well, I tried to see the one in 1999 in England, but it rained.
When totality hit, there were cheers. For those here, it lasted far too short. How best to sum up the eclipse? These 3 words from an 8-year-old.
It was cool.
Yes, it was.
I'm Jim Crisula in Nashville, Tennessee. It was a wow moment for countless people here, a midday total solar eclipse.
It's incredible. It came from Philadelphia for this, and it was worth the trip. This is just unbelievable. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Can't even describe it. It's like you can't. I mean, you see a picture of it, it doesn't do it any justice. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
There were applause, cheers, oohs and ahs at the Moon and Sun matinee that stole the show here in the Music City.
I'm Jim Taylor. The eclipse celebrated by several minor league baseball teams across the country. One of them, the Columbia Fireflies, outfitted for the day in glow-in-the-dark jerseys, briefly suspending play when the field went dark. At the White House, despite all the warnings from experts about the risk of eye damage, President Trump taking off his eclipse glasses to look directly at the sun.
In 2 hours, the president will look directly into a TV camera, talk about the U.S. strategy regarding Afghanistan. CBS's Mola Lenghi with more.
U.S. troops in Afghanistan could soon be getting reinforcements. The president is expected to outline a plan to send about 4,000 more and put new pressure on Pakistan to stop providing safe haven for terrorists.
Retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland is a CBS News military analyst.
The question, obviously, is after 16 years of war, a loss of 2,500 Americans killed in action, roughly 1,000 additional NATO troops that have been killed, and spending over $1 trillion, how this particular strategy differs markedly from what President George Bush did or President Barack Obama did.
The Dow was up 29. Now this.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 4th year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to quickenloans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Still unaccounted for, 10 sailors from the destroyer USS John McCain. The Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson, wants to know what happened when the McCain and a tanker collided off Singapore.
This is the second collision in 3 months and the last in a series of incidents in the Pacific Theater. This trend demands more forceful action.
And a broader review will take place. From Barcelona, the key suspect in that van attack last Thursday has been shot dead. Here's the BBC's Gavin Lee.
Police have confirmed they have shot Yunus Abu Yaqub. This is 25 miles west of Barcelona, a place called Subirats. We heard that somebody had been seen with what appeared to be a suicide vest. What police are saying, it was a fake explosive vest.
You are listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
And now to our reporter in the field, Guy.
Wade Waste Plumbing. What's important for homeowners to know?
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Did you see it? Thousands flocked to Tennessee to see the total solar eclipse because we're in the path of totality. And we have some good news, too. No injuries reported from anyone staring at the sun. In darker news, Shamira Roberts, who's 31, was shot on East 3rd Street early this morning. Chattanooga police were called to the hospital to interview the victim. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. In Collegedale, a canine unit chased a man behind a Walmart, and then officers found him dead. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is handling the investigation to find out how this man died. In Bradley County, a toddler was discovered floating face down in a swimming pool, but we have good news. Bradley County deputies performed CPR on the young child. The child was rushed to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. A car was crumpled after a crash on Jones Gap Road, and Deborah Cox from Graysville was killed. Jones Gap Road is now back open. Another driver was minorly injured. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's fast forecast now. Temperature 88 for our post-solar eclipse season as the sun goes down. Temperatures holding steady in the 80s overnight. 70 degrees is our high. For Tuesday, not expecting any rain at all. Might be partly overcast. By the time we hit Wednesday, we are expecting thunderstorms with a high of 85, low of 73. Overall, great weather this week. That's your fast forecast now.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. This is hour number 2 of the show. We are in East Tennessee. So, of course, we got a wonderful view of the eclipse today. That, also all the traffic that comes with people coming to see the eclipse, also that, and everyone filling up the restaurants because they came to see the eclipse. Somehow, the eclipse ended up being more inconvenient for me, a person who lives here, it feels like, than a person who came to visit to see the eclipse. But I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. It sounds like everybody enjoyed it. Also, it doesn't sound like anybody got blinded by it trying to look at it. So that's also good. It's also good. And also, with not having experienced the last eclipse, which I believe was 91, I can see how people back in the day thought that eclipses were apocalyptic. I can see that now. When it looks like night at, what was it, 2:30 in the afternoon, it looked like night. Like everybody, I was driving with my lights on. I was on the road, right? I was one of those people that was just like, hey, I have things to do today. It's unfortunate. I would like to stop and center my entire life around the eclipse, but I cannot. But it's okay. I consider myself to have seen the eclipse because it looked like nighttime at 2:30 p.m. on a Monday. And quite frankly, that's pretty astonishing. And again, I understand how people in ancient cultures could have seen this and thought, oh, the world is ending. Because it felt like it. If you didn't know it was coming, like we've got all of this stuff now where we can figure out when there's a next eclipse and when we've got meteor showers and where to look in the night sky for that stuff. Man, ancient cultures didn't know this. They just had to guess. And many of them were more advanced than we give them credit for. But there was a point where, oh yeah, no, the sky just got dark for no reason and no one has an explanation. I'm not a guy that wants to go in a time machine. How about that? How about that as an explanation? You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240. So I want to talk about another thing that is rare. It's very rare. Happens maybe a few times in your lifetime as well, which is that if you are a sports fan of a professional sport, be it the NBA, the NFL, whatever soccer league you watch, because there's 10 million of them, be it whatever sport that you watch, there is a commissioner of your sport. Especially in America, we're very big on commissioners. We're very big. Even our fantasy sports, our sports that are not real, have commissioners. And one thing that you will see a couple of times in your lifetime is the changing of commissioners. Right? Roger Goodell, we're not seeing the changing of Roger Goodell anytime soon. Roger Goodell has signed a contract extension that is for an additional 5 years. Right? Because the NFL owners love Roger Goodell. They love the amount of money that Roger Goodell has made them. And I believe that over the last 10 years, Roger Goodell has made $212 million being the commissioner of the NFL, which is insane because Roger Goodell has done a lot of things in the last 6 months or so that would suggest that Roger Goodell actually wants us to like him because Roger Goodell is learning the secret that has not been a secret, which is that we do not like him. We don't like Roger Goodell, right? Roger Goodell has made a number of decisions that mind-boggling. For starters, first, you try and fix the league by having this system where you're tough on guys who are being knuckleheads, which is normally a thing that I am for. But the appeals process goes through you. Now, you can try and explain to me how that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't understand. I am sure I don't know. But it has led to many decisions where Roger makes decisions based on who he likes. For instance, the whole Ray Rice thing ended up being a problem because Ray Rice gets into the domestic abuse situation with his wife. And then the NFL is like, yeah, we're not going to suspend you for a lot of games. It's not that bad. The NFL saw the tape of Ray Rice punching his fiance in the face and thought, well, it's not that bad. Then the tape got out and the NFL had to suspend him indefinitely because we all saw it and went, oh, that's bad. That's not just not bad. This is bad. That's awful. That's awful, right? Like, that is ridiculous. And you had an entire debacle, which somehow led to Ray Rice's then fiance, now wife, apologizing somehow for getting herself punched in the face. Like, the thing delineated into a giant fiasco that didn't have to exist had Roger Goodell decided to make the right decision in the first place and suspend Ray Rice properly. I mean, like, for the full extent of what it was. But Roger Goodell liked Ray Rice because we all like Ray Rice. Ray Rice seems like a really nice, genuine guy. And by the way, has completely tried to turn his life around from that moment. And I feel bad that he was not able to continue playing football after that. But I will say that that whole situation exploded in part because Roger didn't handle it properly. Right? And we've had a number of other situations, investigations that seem hawkish for no particular reason. None whatsoever. Deflategate is one where we just decided we were going after Tom Brady for no reason. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning has some steroid possibly sent to his home and received by his wife, no investigation pending. Right, so we just figured out who it was that we were just going to attack. For whatever reason, why it was the Patriots, again, I don't know. But if you wind up on Roger Goodell's S list, he's going after you. So you've got that with Roger Goodell, right? Then you've got the CTE, the millions of dollars that the NFL spent trying to cover up the fact that playing football leads to a degenerative disease, a cover-up of which Roger Goodell was a key part of. He was involved in the scandal. He was involved in the conspiracy. He was trying to cover up this information to protect the NFL and the NFL owners' bottom line. And all of these things you would think would be public relations nightmares, the likes of which, like, a guy does not get a 5-year contract extension after 10 years of making $212 million, except, of course, Roger Goodell has been able to successfully continue to marginalize NFL players. Their association, the Players Association of the NFL, is weaker compared to other sports like baseball. And as long as he's proving that that's going to be the case, that in the battle of who gets paid what, when, where, and why, and who has power in the equation, Roger Goodell is going to wind up ultimately being the guy that gets the credit and praise for that. Even though, I mean, how hard could being an NFL commissioner actually be? It's the most popular sport in America. And Roger Goodell is doing, I don't want to say nothing, but compared to the guys who are putting their bodies on the line to play this game, he is doing relatively nothing and being paid several times as much. And for what? I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's time to give Roger Goodell the boot. After all, Roger Goodell's boss is the owners, not the fans, not me, not you. He's not accountable to any of us, obviously, because I think that if he were accountable to us, we would have turned our boos into something actually actionable during draft day when we all sit there and just boo Roger Goodell. I'm at home watching the draft. I boo Roger Goodell for my TV just because. Just because. And I liked Roger Goodell's tough stances initially. And I thought as a commissioner early on, he had some good ideas. But if he has more, I'd like to see him. If he has any more, it would be nice if I could see it. But no, we're not going to see it. This is the best of Roger Goodell that we're going to see, right? Like he peaked somewhere in like year 3 or 4 of being the commissioner of the league. He peaked. Granted, there's a point. We will turn on Adam Silver eventually too, because we turn on all commissioners. They represent the law and order of the sport, and fans want something on the edge. They want it as reckless as possible without being implicitly dangerous. And Roger Goodell has done a lot to take that edge away. So we're not happy with him, right? He's taken the edge out of the sport, right? When guys can't dance. And I'm not talking about the ridiculous celebrations of the 2000s where guys had Sharpies in their socks and they were taking pom-poms from cheerleaders. Even I thought it's a bit much, right? I'm not offended by it, it just seems silly. It's a bit much. And maybe that's just because I've gotten older since then, because I remember when I was a kid, I just liked it a lot. But like looking back on it, you know, the pom-poms and I got a cell phone and I'm going to play golf with the pylon, you know, it's a bit much, right? Like there's some dances. The thing that I like about the dab, it's a very quick dance, right? It's one motion, then the dance is over. I like that, right? And you know what? If Antonio Brown wants to twerk, let him twerk. There's some stuff that outlawing it and outruling it like just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh no, the children are in trouble. Antonio Brown's twerking. I just don't understand why that mentality even exists. I don't follow the logic. We're just ruling out fun just to rule out fun. And then you have to loosen the rules back because everybody hates the tightened rules. Because of course they do. What do you think? We watch football because we like civility? What planet are you from, dude? So it's going to happen eventually. Roger Goodell's going to decide to stop being commissioner, but that's how most people decide to, or most people wind up having their commissionerships end, is by their own decision. Usually you don't get fired from being a commissioner, right? Like maybe they don't extend you or whatever, but usually you don't get fired from being a commissioner. I actually do not know if someone has ever been fired from being a commissioner in any sport. But in the modern sports leagues, it's tough. And I'm looking to see what happens with Adam Silver because he's very popular with NBA fans. David Stern is not, but I remember when David Stern was popular, or at least I've seen video from when David Stern was popular. I don't actually know of that time. I was too young. But there was a time when David Stern was popular. Then there was a point where you turned on him, and David Stern was the commissioner for a very, very long time before people turned on him. Adam Silver has got a long way to go before we decide that Adam Silver is a guy that fills us with hatred for whatever reason. And commissioner changings feel like they're almost as rare as eclipses. So there's that too. We got Adam Silver, Rob Manfred, and Roger Goodell. Now, very early in Roger Goodell's time as commissioner, because Roger Goodell could easily be the commissioner for like another 20 years. I know that that's a nightmare that nobody wants, but it's possible. Roger Goodell, to me, reached the point where we turned on him much earlier than other commissioners. But I also remember we turned on Paul Tagliabue as well. So I don't know what that means. I feel like we turn on NFL commissioners much faster. There's just something about that sport. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Over the weekend, Magic Johnson is being accused and reportedly being investigated for having tampered with Paul George. Now, this to me is interesting, right? Like here's the statement from the NBA league office on the investigation into the alleged tampering violation by Magic Johnson, who is now a Lakers executive. He's the executive. And the following statement has been issued by Mike Bass, Executive Vice President of Communications. At the request of the Indiana Pacers, the NBA opened an investigation into alleged tampering by the Los Angeles Lakers. The independent investigation is being conducted by the law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz. The Lakers have been cooperative, and at this point, no findings have been made. We have asked both teams to refrain from commenting while the investigation is ongoing. And I think that this is interesting for a number of reasons, which is that I find it odd that anybody has a problem with tampering in today's NBA. And I understand a front office guy is tampering with a player, and so this is different. But how is it different? Because if an owner says something about a player in the media, he gets slapped with a tampering violation. Right? So he doesn't even have to recruit the player specifically. He could just say out loud to the media, to nobody in particular, I'd love to have X, Y, and Z player. This is what they bring to the table. Yeah, this is what I'd like to pay him. And they'd be slapped with a tampering thing. Now, here's the thing. In today's era of the NBA, as all the old guys of this sport have accurately noted, everybody is friends with everybody, right? So earlier in the offseason, before the Pacers traded Paul George to Oklahoma City, John Wall of the Wizards who is a Paul George friend, and I'm sure Paul George has many other friends on many other teams in the league, but John Wall openly said, yeah, I'm calling Paul George. I'm trying to recruit him. I'd like to bring him here to play in Washington. We have the point guard. We have the shooting guard. We have the center. We just need the small forward, which, you know, just completely cuts Otto Porter out of the equation. But the point is, yeah, actively recruiting Paul George. Yes, he was. And it's not tampering. It can't be tampering when the players do it. They're just friends. They're just having a conversation when they ask each other if they want to play with them. LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade all went down to Miami together to play. What is that? What is that if not tampering? It was tampering the whole way through. Allegedly, LeBron wanted D. Wade and Bosh to come with him to Cleveland to play. Only the two of them didn't like the idea of playing in Cleveland, as most people strongly dislike the idea of playing in Cleveland. Outside of LeBron, I guess. But Wade, Bosh, they all went down to Miami with LeBron because they were all talking to each other. That is essentially tampering. And I suppose what I'm asking is, what is the purpose of enforcing that specific rule in today's NBA? Right? Especially when the guy's Magic. Right? Like, Magic is not necessarily the guy sitting down talking to you about benefits and money. Magic's not the money guy. That's Rob Pelinka. Pelinka's there to be the money guy. Pelinka's there to be the guy that figures out how the team fits together. Magic's there to sell us on all of it. That's Magic's job. Let's be honest. Magic's job with the LA front office is to be the smile of the LA front office. And I understand why you must enforce your tampering rules. My issue here is that most of what happens in this league already is tampering. And there doesn't appear to be any way of stopping it unless you're just going to tell guys, no, don't be friends with anybody. But you can't do that. You can't have a league that legislates friendships. Because then where does that take you? That takes you in a really dark place. A really dark place. I don't want to be a part of a league that's like, no, you can't. I'm going to tell you who your friends are and are not going to be. These people that you work with who understand your life, who live a life similar to you, have a lot in common with you, possibly a background that's similar to yours, whether you're an American player or an international player. All of these things lead up to you being a certain kind of person, and everybody's got all this stuff in common with you, which is how most friendships are usually formed. Yeah, you can't be friends with any of those people. Yeah, don't want it. I just have trouble buying that. Sorry, I just don't see it. You can't. I mean, so the league's not going to legislate friendships, but it's like, what if the friendship now is between a front office guy and another guy? Because Magic is a former player. So Magic's got all the connections. Everybody has some former player that they talk to, they give advice to. Isaiah Thomas gives a lot of advice. The Pistons player, not the current Isaiah Thomas, gives a lot of advice to young point guards in the league. Gary Payton gives a lot of advice to young point guards in the league. But if Gary Payton were to become a front office guy, if Gary Payton had a conversation with a player who was considering moving in free agency and that player asked Gary Payton for advice, and I do understand that there would be a conflict of interest there. I get it. But there's a conflict of interest everywhere. Is that now tampering? But if Gary Payton does it to get a guy to play for a team he used to play on, it's not tampering? Like, the line between what is and is not tampering in the NFL, NBA, MLB today, but specifically the NBA because of how chummy the guys are in that sport specifically, and because of how easy it is for them to move from one team to another, the line between what is and is not tampering isn't clearly defined at all. And it's weird that we're going after Magic Johnson, we're going after the Lakers for this thing that isn't really defined and probably very, very similar to what Magic was what Magic was doing previously, right? Because Magic's not going to give anybody advice that hurts the Lakers already. Magic Johnson has been working for the Lakers since before he's been officially working for the Lakers. So what's the deal now? What is tampering? And I think before we start investigating heavily charges into tampering, we need to define in the new look of this league what it is and what it is not. Much with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Three, two, one. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Did you see it? Thousands flocked to Tennessee to see the total solar eclipse because we're in the path of totality. And we have some good news, too. No injuries reported from anyone staring at the sun. In darker news, Shamira Roberts, who's 31, was shot on East 3rd Street early this morning. Chattanooga police were called to the hospital to interview the victim. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. In Collegedale, a canine unit chased a man behind a Walmart, and then officers found him dead. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is handling the investigation to find out how this man died. In Bradley County, a toddler was discovered floating face down in a swimming pool, but we have good news. Bradley County deputies performed CPR on the young child. The child was rushed to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. A car was crumpled after a crash on Jones Gap Road, and Deborah Cox from Graysville was killed. Jones Gap Road is now back open. Another driver was minorly injured. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's fast forecast now. Temperature 88 for our post-solar eclipse season as the sun goes down. Temperatures holding steady in the 80s overnight. 70 degrees is our high. For Tuesday, not expecting any rain at all. Might be partly overcast. By the time we hit Wednesday, we are expecting thunderstorms with a high of 85, low of 73. Overall, great weather this week. That's your fast forecast now.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Chrissy.
And this is Summer
of Summer Cares. There are too many homeless veterans in Chattanooga. Please help us in our Shoebox for Veterans campaign. You can fill a shoebox with hand warmers, hand sanitizers, hand wipes, cough drops, razors, shaving cream, toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, deodorant, snacks, socks, gloves, and even a small blanket.
And make sure you drop your shoeboxes or your shoebox items off at Nooga Radio Studio on Hickson Pike across from Bojangles below Goss Insurance or Alpine Crest Elementary School.
Please join us at the Community Kitchen in Chattanooga on November 10th from 11 to 12:30 and help us distribute these care packages to the homeless veterans of Chattanooga. No veteran should ever go homeless.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
When you shop online for a weapon, you avoid the sales tax. But now you can buy local at Shooter Supply, and you'll do just as well, if not better. Here's how. 10% off of ammo and accessories, or 20% off of the handgun permit class, or you can get 20% off the range membership. You deduct the taxes online, and at Shooters, you do even better. And let Shooter's consignment program turn that rifle into cold, hard cash. Shooter Supply, Hickson. Shooters Supply, Hickson.
I have the best steak selection in town. The name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation, let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. And we live in a world where the politics are everywhere. I know that people turn to sports to hide from politics. The problem is, are everywhere. Like, you can't run from this stuff. I know, like, people used to watch late night TV to hide from politics. Right? Seth Meyers is doing a late night show. Stephen Colbert is doing the Late Show over on CBS. Jimmy Fallon on NBC with the Late Night Show, right? And which shows have their ratings up? Which shows have their ratings down? The show that has their ratings up, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert. They're really good at talking politics because that is something that Seth did over at Saturday Night Live, and he did it pretty well. It was funny. And Colbert, with the Colbert Report, forever, just for the however long that show was on the air, which was a long, long time. And so these guys are good at talking politics, and they're smart, thoughtful people. And Jimmy Fallon is not, which isn't to say that he's not a smart, thoughtful person, just that he's not good at talking politics. Either he isn't comfortable doing it or he's out of his depth with it. Jimmy Fallon is the silly, funny, goofy guy, the guy that his template 99% of the time works on late night TV. In our current political climate, in our current social climate, it still works, but people want to hear about the politics. Like, you can't really hide from it. Like, if you want ratings, you are talking about the politics, but not even just for the ratings, right? Like, I'm not talking about the politics on this show for the ratings. I'm talking about the politics on the show because everywhere I look, that's where it is. And this show is simply a capsule of what happened to me and you in the last 24 hours. Like, that's what we talk about. Like, what happened involving sports with both of us, you and me, in the last 24 hours. Then I come to the radio station, I talk about it. That's the show. So I can't hide it. Like, I can't, there's nowhere I can maneuver. And by the way, and I don't get enough credit for this, and I don't expect a pat on the back, so I'll just give myself one, but I maneuver very hard to not be talking about politics all the time. I just don't know how not to. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everything you look at. I mean, not just the news networks. It's in the comedy. It's in the jokes. It's in the music. Every day there's some rally or protest. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't hide from it. And it's in the sports. It's in the sports. And if this is going to be a show about what happened to me and what happened to you in the last 24 hours, I cannot not talk about the politics of things. right? Even if it makes people particularly uncomfortable. That this is what the show is. It's not going to change from that. But I do think that it's provided us with a lot of great opportunities to try and learn about each other, try and figure out where we all stand. And I'll give you my opinion. You can give me your opinion. Our phone number is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. And so as a perfect example of not being able to keep the politics out of the sports, especially when you talk about college sports, because so much of that involves what happens on a college campus and in college life. And if that, if a college campus is embroiled in something that is political, then also by definition, the people who live and work and go to school on those campuses will be involved in it as well. At Texas A&M, that's something that we're involved in, right? Texas A&M head coach Kevin Sumlin is applauding the school for canceling a White Lives Matter rally, which to me is a display of whiteness that does seem to be unnecessary. I will say that. I mean, white lives matter. Yes, they matter. When was that ever up for debate? You do realize, because I feel like there are some people that are not clear on the blank lives matter movement, whatever you put as that first blank. You do realize that the reason why that's coming up is not because anybody is saying that other lives don't matter. It is in fact the opposite, right? That people who follow Black Lives Matter and are involved in Black Lives Matter don't believe that America is aware that Black Lives Matter, as America does not treat Black lives like they matter. So they felt the need to remind you with their name. Now, I think that should be the platform that they stand on. They've branched out into other platforms that I can't buy into all of them, but that's what they're trying to remind you. That's what they're saying. What is the purpose of telling people that white lives matter? In other news, water, wet. What are you trying to accomplish with that? I don't follow the logic on that one. Like, yes, white lives matter. That was never up for debate. It was the lives of everybody else. Thanks. But yeah, the cancellation of that rally, Kevin Sumlin is very proud of this, right? And he said this, and I quote, "I was thankful and very, very proud of Chancellor Sharp and our president to put an end to it. And that's the only way that I can put it, without just going into depth about it. But leadership like that, that's when leadership comes to the front, and our leadership did that. We've talked about it as a team too, and our appreciation for our leadership to step in this situation is big. It's big from the players, it's big from our coaching staff, and it's big from everybody." Now, Sharp cited major security risks, which I do think is a reason to cancel a rally. I think that if you were going to see people show up to a White Lives Matter rally and you were canceling the rally because you don't like the stuff they're saying, I am uncomfortable with that as an American. I don't like where that goes, where you tell people to stop talking simply because they say stuff you don't like. I am on radio for a living, and I say a lot of things that I'm sure many people disagree with, and I know many people disagree with it because they let me know on social media that they disagree with me. So I hear you. I hear you all out there, but I would never tell you to stop talking. I would never tell you to go away because you don't like because I don't like what you're saying, and I would like the same courtesy. I would like the same respect, and I would like to hand it off to other people, even if I don't believe those opinions to be worthy of having that. The person is still an American citizen. The person still has to be able to express themselves in as their constitutional rights dictate. And I don't feel comfortable saying you don't get to talk because you say a thing that is disagreeable. I get it. I get why you would say stop talking, right? Because it's not just that the person is saying something that is disagreeable. They're saying something that is abhorrent. They're saying something that is wrong. They're saying something that is even possibly dangerous. But I don't like shutting that kind of stuff down merely because of the speech, right? Even if it's a White Lives Matter rally, which you know who's showing up to that, right? Like let's not sit here and act like all white people are showing up to the White Lives Matter rally. Racists are showing up to the White Lives Matter rally. All right? This is not everybody. It's a select group of knuckleheads who will be showing up to that rally. And they'll feel empowered and they'll feel encouraged by gathering together and getting together on these fronts. But you want to make that go away. You want to squash that. I feel like you have to beat them intellectually. You can't beat them by taping their mouth shut. Right? You can't. Just because they have the right to say something and because you allow them to say something doesn't give it merit. Not every opinion that everyone holds has merit, right? We live in a world that just had a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse today. And Kyrie Irving is a man who plays in the NBA who believes that the earth is flat. Despite the fact that the whole concept of a solar eclipse really doesn't work with an earth that's flat. Whatever, he believes that the earth is flat. His opinion doesn't have merit. His opinion doesn't have legs. His opinion doesn't make sense. He is fundamentally and scientifically incorrect. He is wrong on every single front. And yet, as stupid as his opinion is, and as not based in reality or fact as his opinion is, it wouldn't make any sense to tell all people who believe in a flat earth to shut up. Now, I can't respect any other scientific opinions you hold. And in fairness, we don't pay Kyrie to think about the shape of the earth. We pay Kyrie to get them buckets. And he's really good at getting them buckets. So you can't really respect anything else that he thinks scientifically, but why were you doing that in the first place? I would say the same thing for whoever it is that would show up to a White Lives Matter rally, a racist who would show up to that, because that person would have to be a racist by definition. I imagine most of you wouldn't go, right? Like I imagine 99% of you wouldn't go. If you are the 1% who would go, I applaud you for somehow enjoying this show. But other than that, no. The person who would go to a rally like that is going to hold some very stupid opinions about race. They're going to hold some very backwards, fundamentally unscientific, socially untenable ideas as to what race looks like in the world. That person is going to be back out of their mind, right? Like just out of it. Just out of it. That person is going to be a person you can't trust their opinion on anything, but yet they should have the right to express it. Even them. Yes. Yes. So if they're saying that we squashed it because it poses a major security risk, then that's fine. I understand that as a justification for canceling the event. Things at Charlottesville, Virginia got violent, and if you don't want a Charlottesville happening on your campus, then try to do something about that, right? But I think squashing this only validates them. That they feel validated by if you try to silence somebody, then you are giving merit to what it is that they are saying. Almost, it'd be better to let their voices drown out in the arenas in which nobody will buy into it. Right? Just like the people who believe in the flat earth. Just let it die out, whatever it is that they believe. If every person who believes in a flat earth, if you go out of your way to shut them up, what you're telling them is, in fact, here's something that they don't want you to know, right? They'll feel like you're out to get them, and their truth is the truth that nobody wants you to know. You validate their existence. Don't do that. It's not an existence worth validating. Right? And to be clear, they had planned, there was a counter protest plan. And so, yeah, the school canceling this probably was for the best, again, because once you've got the protesters don't necessarily necessitate that violence will ensue. But there was a student group called BTHO Hate, called Beat the Hell Out of Hate. And it was a counter protest that was scheduled for that same day. So you're Texas A&M, you're looking at this, and you're going, there's a protest, it's a racist protest, there's a counter protest. We saw what happened the last time those two kinds of elements got together. Let's try and avoid having that on our campus. And so, no, I can't necessarily say that the school was wrong for doing this. But at the same time, I hope that those were their actual reasons, right? Like, I hope that their actual reasons were that they were righteous in this, and they said, you know what, this is going to cause violence. We need to keep our students safe, all our students safe. You cannot live in this world where people say stuff you don't like and you try and shut it down. And that's the reason why when I originally saw that story, I'm not going to lie, I was very skeptical, because that's something that we see on college campuses. We've seen a lot of it, right? Like, the reason why nobody likes any of these people at Antifa, the anti-fascist movement, is they have a problem with free speech on college campuses, right? A conservative speaker comes to speak and they don't want to hear it. They're sitting there chanting for the person to go away. They're blocking the doors, and they're making it so that this person cannot express their opinion. You cannot be afraid of an opinion. If you think that it is wrong, you have to defeat the opinion with, and I know this sounds crazy, another opinion based in facts. Based in facts. And I know it's hard. I know it's the tougher route. I know that it's the more difficult path to choose, but we still have to choose it. You cannot run from every opinion you disagree with, even if you know the opinion to just be completely and inherently wrong. And that doesn't mean fight everybody that's got an opinion different than yours. Because a lot of times I think we believe in similar things, but because of the angle for which we think about it, we have our differences, right? There's different kinds of differences. Some differences are simply differences of interpretation. As I mentioned before, when I first moved to the South, and the nice old lady at the store was like, "Here, have your buggy." And I said, "A what now?" Because I was used to calling it a shopping cart, because everywhere else that I had lived, you called it a shopping cart. In the South, you call it a buggy, right? Which sounds weird to me. Still sounds weird to me, even as I am saying it. But the fact of the matter is that was a difference of interpretation that led to a mini little conflict. And then when she explained it, I was like, oh, thank you. Right? But obviously, there are conflicts that get a little bit more complicated than that, and a little bit more emotional and personal than that. And that's where a lot of differences come from. And then we also have differences that are just straight up differences, like where one of us is right and one of us is wrong. And we need to figure out how to bridge the gap between that one. That's the one that we have not learned, right? Where if you just have like white supremacists walking around, understand that those people are just wrong. They're just wrong. But we need to figure out how to talk to those people in a way that isn't confrontational. If they go out to protest, right, possibly the greatest use of your time is not a counter protest. Why? Because that inherently leads to violence. Like, the greatest use of your time, and here's something that someone suggested, is that anti-hate group organizers are asking for supporters to pledge a dollar amount for every white supremacist that marches through the campus, right? Raising money and raising awareness, I think, does you more good than you guys are in a state where you're frenzied, you're loud, and you're angry. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a bunch of our people to be loud and frenzied and angry and see where that goes. Nowhere good, man. Nowhere good. And you don't need me to tell you that. You didn't need me to tell you that. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So Aaron Judge set a record. He plays for the Yankees. He's an incredible hitter, though not since the All-Star break. I don't know what's happened to Aaron Judge since the All-Star break. But Aaron Judge has set a record, and it's not the kind of record that you want. And it's a strikeout record. 37 straight games with a strikeout. Mr. Aaron Judge, right? Now, there was a point in this season where people thought, wow, Aaron Judge is murdering the baseball and possibly might hit over 60 home runs, which I thought was a little far-fetched from the beginning. But then I started watching Aaron Judge play baseball, and I was like, mercy, he might actually get the 60 home runs. Now, granted, I haven't lived as long as many people who hold the 60 home run record dear, the Roger Maris record, right? I haven't been around the block like that. So I'm still, I guess, in my mind, not understanding the difficulty level of which that record is to achieve, which is that no one has done it since Maris, right? So since Roger Maris, no one's done it. Babe Ruth and Roger Maris are the only people who've ever done it. And, Giancarlo Stanton with the Marlins is really close. But other than that, I don't know no one's ever done it. And I thought, Aaron Judge, he might have a chance. And then, of course, since the All-Star break, Aaron Judge hasn't been able to hit a thing. But not only has he not been able to hit a thing, he has got a lot of strikeouts where I feel like, and I think the explanation that Buster Olney gave the explanation that people have figured out Aaron Judge. Pitchers have figured him out. And so at this point, the next step in Aaron Judge's evolution as a hitter has got to be to figure out some of these pitchers, because the pitchers are putting the ball in places where it's uncomfortable for him. They're giving him looks that they know he likes to swing at. Aaron Judge needs to learn to adjust. He needs to learn to adapt. And he has not learned that skill or ability yet. And the result is that Aaron Judge has now set a record that is a very bad record, right? And nothing feels worse than setting a record that's no good whatsoever. Like it's only got badness associated with it. It's like the quadruple double in the NBA, or someone gets a triple double, but one of the numbers is turnovers. Like that's a bad triple double. That's a bad triple double. I remember watching. I think Russell Westbrook had a couple of the bad quadruple double, where it's like, yeah, he's got double digit points, double digit rebounds, double digit assists, and double digit turnovers. Ooh, no, you don't want that. Is where there's just badness associated with this record, and Aaron Judge hit that faster than he ever got to coming anywhere near 60 home runs. I think he's probably going to get to 50, possibly. I thought he got to 47 a couple of games ago. But yeah, he sets a bad record there. It's not a good look. Not a good look at all. And I don't know what you do there. I know what you did there. Also, just a quick Byron Buxton update. Byron Buxton hit a inside the park home run the other day. Byron Buxton, who plays for the Minnesota Twins and played this past season for the Chattanooga Lookouts. He came up through the Lookouts. And if you haven't had the chance to see Byron Buxton, I promise you, well worth the price of admission. That guy is incredibly fast. He hit an inside the park home run and rounded the bases in the bounce off the wall of dead center. And was it 19 seconds around the he was so fast. 13.85 seconds. That was not even close. 13.85 seconds. Byron Buxton around all the bases on his inside the park home run. I mean, absolutely phenomenal, right? I've pulled it up on the computer in front of me here, and I have not seen speed like this in a while. I mean, I think I was really amazed when I first saw Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen was insanely fast, but sprint speed. I mean, the dude reached 30. He was running 30 feet a second. That was the sprint speed, according to the stats from MLB.com. and he ran to the bases in 13.85 seconds. Dude's got some wheels. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You've been in a wreck.
756-6400.
You've been wrongfully fired.
756-6400.
A turkey is suing you out of the blue.
756-6400.
Confused about a business startup?
756-6400.
That's the number for you. 756-6400. Right here, right now, Chattanooga. Call now. Top flight legal help awaits. Get biz advice now. Representation to fight for your right. What are you waiting for? That's